Okay, here we go. Now we're recording. Good. Okay, so we learned up to now that Noah being in the ark was essentially what we have to do to improve ourselves, to save ourselves from the turbulent waters of this world. And also an interesting thing that Noah went out of the ark. Noah got out of the ark. He left the ark. Okay, so we have to make a proper reckoning of ourselves. Just one second. Okay, good. Okay, so the previous Rebbe said, so especially now, the previous Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe said that Moshiach is basically already here. And yes. And the Mashiach, we should just prepare ourselves for the parade. That's what the Rebbe said. Any moment Mashiach is going to come, and he is going to direct the entire world to do what God wants. And that's what's written in the Torah, according to what the rabbis say in the Talmud. The explanation of the Torah, proper explanation of the Torah, and Mashiach is going to be the person that's going to convince, he's going to be a king. He's going to convince everyone in the world to do things that they naturally would not want to do, and to refrain from things that they do naturally want to do. Mashiach. And said the Rebbe that basically the world has already been fixed up. The world has already been fixed up. And now we just have to individually fix ourselves up. Says the Rebbe, it's something like a person who is healthy, but he has a little scratch, a little stubs his toe, something like that. He has maybe a little toothache or something. But the person is 100% healthy. 100% healthy. Same thing with the Jewish people. The Jewish people are healthy. Little things have to be fixed up. What's that little thing? Me, you, individuals have to be fixed up. But it's okay. If this was said by the previous Rebbe, the leader of our generation, when he was alive, and that was, the Rebbe is now speaking in 1992. And the previous Rebbe, he passed away in 1950. So that's like already 40 years ago. So if the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe said 40 years ago, and we can say the same thing. If the Rebbe said this, the Rebbe is now speaking this is 30 years ago. So if these words were said 70 years ago, that the previous Rebbe said that the world, all of our work is finished, Mashiach should come any second, as Allah had come of how much more so after there's many tens of years, more than 40 years when the Rebbe was speaking, that God has given us a heart to understand and eyes to see. This is Moses said this to the Jewish people after they were wandering in the desert for 40 years. So Moses said to them, listen, when we got the Torah, you didn't exactly get the point of the Torah, which is, 40 days later, they worshiped the golden calf. Okay, and in the desert, you made a lot of trouble for me and a lot of difficulties. Okay, but now 40 years we've been wandering in the desert. We've been together. It took you 40 years. Now you got the point. Now you got the point. 40 years. Says the Rebbe the same thing. When the Rebbe was speaking, 1992, says it's already been 40 years since the previous Rebbe passed away. In those 40 years, now we can digest. We have digested what the previous Rebbe said. Mashiach is already here. Got ready for the parade. Said the Rebbe, how much more so in this year? That this year, when the Rebbe was speaking, it was Tav Shin Nun Beit. Our year now, we're in Tav Shin Pei Vav. Okay, so the Rebbe made from his initials, he made words. What? It says, if the year is Hayat Tehei, it should be a year of Niflaot Ba, miracles in it. And our year that we're now is Tav Shin, same thing, will be a year. Pei, which means Plaot, same thing as Niflaot, Plaot. Vav, and Vav, I'm making this up. Vav, Ve'od, and more. miracles and more miracles our year. Niflot Bakal, there will be miracles and everything. That this includes everything, all there is in the world, all details in the world, include especially the miracles of the future, of the redemption, Amitit Vashlema, like the days of going out of Egypt. I will show you miracles. Okay, so the first of the 10 commandments is, I am God that took you out of Egypt. How is that a commandment? It's not a commandment. It doesn't say believe. All the others are commandments, right? Don't worship any other gods. Keep the Shabbat. Honor your parents. Right? Don't take my name in vain. These are all commandments. Well, the first is not what's a commandment. It just says, I am God that took you out of Egypt. That's it. Where's the commandment? So the rabbis explain that it's that the commandment is to believe that there is a God who, of course, he's giving the Torah, right? This whole thing is the Torah. The one who's giving the Torah is me. I'm the same God. I'm giving you the Torah, and I was the one that took you out of Egypt. That was only 50 days earlier. God took them out of Egypt, 50 days before. So everybody knew that, God took them out of Egypt. They didn't go out of Egypt on their own. Moses didn't take them out of Egypt. There was amazing miracles. The sea split, right? Moses was a magician that he could do that. So yeah, it could be. Let's say it could be that Moses was a super magician. Could be. And he brought the 10 plagues, and he brought manna from heaven, Moses. And he brought water from a rock. Could be. The Maimonides says this. And he brought water from a rock, and Moses was the super magician. He could do amazing things. You couldn't believe it. Until we got to the Torah. When God gave the Torah, it says they heard God speak. On Mount Sinai, every atom of creation spoke, resonated. Everything was a loudspeaker. I am the God that took you out of Egypt. They realized that God is creating them. That's the fourth of the 10 commandments. God created the whole world in 6 days. They realized God is creating the world right now. Everybody felt that. Everyone could feel it. And what's the first? What did God say? I am God that took you out of Egypt. Why did he have to say that I took you out of Egypt? Say, I'm God that's giving you the Torah. He says, no, God is trying to tell us that the same way that God took us out of Egypt, and no one in Israel, none of the Jewish people even dreamed that there could be such a thing like that. That they could be, there were the 4 generations of slaves. The word Jew was synonymous with slave. Bring the Jew. Hey, someone spilled water on the floor. Bring the Jew. A Jew was synonymous. A Jew was a servant. So his father had been a servant. His grandfather was a great-grandfather, was 4 generations of servants. Jews. That was the nature of a Jew. All of a sudden they got out. All of a sudden they were free. All of a sudden they were eating bread from heaven. Who could imagine such a thing? It was astounding that a person couldn't even, it says 4/5 of the Jews didn't even want to leave Egypt. After Egypt was destroyed, they said, okay, now we don't have to work so hard anymore. Let's stay in Egypt. Right? Egypt was destroyed. We'll stay here. God said, no. You're a totally different people. You're not just, you take the place of Egyptians. No, you're going to be the leaders. You're going to be my servants, says God. You're going to be connected to me, my servants. Everybody said, this is a fantastic, amazing. Why did God tell us this? Because it's going to happen again. It's not just a history lesson. It's not just, God is telling us, I took you out of Egypt, and that's it. One time, I'll do the miracle. One time is enough for you guys. One time. Says, no. It's telling us it's going to happen again. I am God that does big miracles for the Jewish people. I took you out of Egypt, and I'm going to do it again. When are you going to do it again? I'm going to do it again. It says, it's a prophecy from Micha. Like the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you even bigger miracles. It's going to happen any second. And especially after we've already finished this year, Tishrei. Tishrei is the first letters of Reshit, the beginning, that it includes in it the whole entire previous year. And now we are standing on the first Shabbat that has been preceded by 6 working days, right? Last week we read Breshit, but it was only preceded by 3 days of working days. That before that there was Simchat Torah, so 2 days. But this week in Noach, there was 6 working days before. It was a complete week before. This week is talking about, Bereshit was talking about what God did. He created a world. This week is talking about what we have to do. Noach. Shabo Mudgash, it's the whole idea of a Shabbat which is connected to the Geula, the future redemption. Shabbat, like we said, after the 6 days of work, then you have rest. But after the 6,000 years of suffering and service that we've been in this world, there's going to be this amazing miracle, which is going, the whole world is going to go out of Egypt. Now we're in Shabbat, we're after midday, right? If there's 6,000 years of the world, so it says that we're now in the middle of the 5,000. We're in the middle of the 6,000 actually. Sixth. B'yom hashlishi yakemu b'nichya. Now there's going to be soon. We're going to see the third temple. The third temple, that's going to be a big major feature, which the Moshiach is going to bring from heaven. The Moshiach is going to bring the third temple from heaven. That's what that's what the Zohar and the Talmud says. It says in the Talmud that the third temple, Mikdash Hashem Konan Yadecha, that the third temple is going to come from heaven. Maimonides says that we have to build it. The Rebbe, he makes harmonizes between the two opinions. Nevertheless, the third temple is going to come from heaven. That's what the Arizal says. That's according to Kabbalah, according to Hasidut, according to the Talmud, that the third temple is going to come from heaven. Beit HaMikdash HaShlishi. Like it says in the prophet, on the third day we will stand before you. Where is this? In Hosea. Prophet in Hosea. Well, it says on the third day we will stand up. It says the dead will rise and will stand up in front of you. The base of Mikdash will come. Eventually there'll be the raising of the dead. We prepare, we now this Shabbat, the last prayer of this Shabbat is Mincha, right? Right before Shabbat goes out. So we read next week's Torah portion, a little bit of next week's Torah portion. Lech Lecha, the story of Abraham. Lech Lecha la'eretz asher areka. This is a tzivui and a tinat koach. This is the power of every single Jew and all of the Jewish people by means of Abraham, that Abraham was the founder of Judaism. He was the Yachid, the first Jew. Echad haya Avram, Abraham was one to go mihagalut, from the exile into the redemption. And now especially we can see in the world, the whole world is screaming, Israel, Israel, Israel. Who does Israel belong to? The Jews, the Jews, the Jews. The Jews are bad. Israel belongs to the Hamas. That there's Israel, Jews with Israel. With Israel, what's the boundaries of Israel? What the people of Israel? What the this? And Israel, they're all. Everyone hates the Jews. Everyone all of a sudden loves the Hamas. Everybody does. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about Jews. Jews and Israel, Israel and Jews and Israel. It's on everybody's mind. Everybody in the United Nations is only interested in Israel. The only evil nation in the whole world is the Jews, and Israel has to be taken from them. It's not theirs. What do you care about Israel? There's so many other countries in the world. Israel's so small. No, that's the main thing. Israel, we have to make a vote. Everybody votes against Israel. Everybody. What's the big deal with Israel? What's the big deal? Says the Rebbe, that's all the bells that are announcing the redemption. Soon all of the Jews are going to wake up, and they're going to wake up to the fact that God gave us the land of Israel. The land of Israel does not belong to the Jews. It belongs to God. It is God's land. You can't kick God out. Don't try to do it. They tried to do it. That was the idea of Zionism. They conquer the house and kick out the owner, whatever you said. But the fact of the matter is, those people, the Zionists, they're Jews. And the land of Israel, it does belong to them. It does belong. And they're holy. Every Jew is holy. And the Mashiach is going to make everybody realize that. All the Jews will go from exile to redemption. The ofen shel halicha kafula, they will go doubled going. Lech lecha, that's next week's Torah portion. Lech lecha. God said to Abraham, go to yourself. Lech lecha. Sharom is, this hints at also mihirut, that the future redemption will be quickly. Halicha. Shashlemut bazeh, that the completion is oru al anani shamayim, that it says that the Jews will come floating, or the Mashiach will come, whatever it is, they'll come on clouds of heaven. What does it mean? Bavare, that certainly all the projected ends have already come. And everyone's done tshuva. The Rebbe said this is already 30 years ago. And now the whole thing only depends on Mashiach himself. Mashiach is going to come personally, and he's going to make, just like Moses, right? All the Jews were in Egypt. They suffered enough. The time had already come. And what to do? Comes along Moses and said, that's it. We're leaving, Chevre. We're going out. We're leaving. And if it wasn't for Moses, they would have never left. If it wasn't for Moses, they wouldn't even want to leave. They wanted the tortures to stop. But they would have been happy if the Egyptian leader would have said, okay, I have decided that you're not going to have to make any more pyramids. Everyone has said, oh, this is the Messiah. He has come. He has helped us, right? He has saved us. That was enough for them. The Jews in Egypt, it was enough. Just, we don't have to do so much work anymore. Right? Don't have to do any so much work. That for them, that would have been a Mashiach. That's not Mashiach at all. Came along Moses and said, we're leaving. We're leaving. We're going to go to the promised land. 4/5 of the Jews said, wow, that's great, Moses. You go. Don't forget to write. Right? Only 1/5 of the Jews left. And when they left, they wanted to go back. They wanted to return back to Egypt all the time. And why not? Egypt had been destroyed. They could have gone back to Egypt and be leaders. But God doesn't want leaders. He wants followers because they're following who? The creator of the universe. If you're the leader, then you're the highest. If you're the servant, then you're the servant of the creator of the universe. There's nothing greater than that, a servant of Moses. Therefore, without Moshe, they could have never gotten out of Egypt. Without Mashiach, we're never going to get out. That's the idea that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is the Mashiach. He's telling these ideas that no normal person can understand. And even when people hear it, they reject it. They don't want that. What are you talking about, Mashiach? We'll build the temple ourselves. According to what we said before, making a proper reckoning, and especially connected to the future redemption, so we have to arouse a special thing about the interest in doing Kiddush Levana, sanctifying the moon. What's that mean? We'll see. Sheshayach Biyoter is especially regarding to what we talked about before, the whole idea of Mashiach, and the Mashiach is here, and Mashiach is already, and we have to get ready. We just have to fix ourselves up a little bit. This is especially relevant to sanctifying the moon. Okay, what's this idea of sanctifying the moon? Before the temple was destroyed, actually a couple hundred years after the temple was destroyed, the Jewish people, the Jewish calendar depended very much on the moon. Very much on the moon. How does it work, the Jewish calendar? The Jewish calendar always, the first day of every month is the first day when the moon appears. So that's the way it's supposed to be. Nowadays it can vary a little bit because they set the calendar, but it used to be until, right, since the Jews got out of Egypt, until the second temple was destroyed, a little bit after the second temple was destroyed, which that is how long? 1,800 years, something like that. Anyway, all this time that the temple was 1,400, 450, just give me a second. No. Like 1,500 or something like that. The Jewish people's calendar depended very much on the moon. Really, the moon and the sun together, but the months depended on the moon. What would be at the end of every month when the moon went away? A month can only be either 29 or 30 days. At the end of that time, when the moon was concealed, so people would go outside and look up at the sky. Anyone who would see a sliver of the moon, they would immediately run to the court, to the high court, the Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin would ask him all sorts of questions. Maybe this person is lying, maybe he's mistaken, maybe this. And when they would be sure that the person did see the moon, they would announce, this is a new month. They would announce, this is the month. Okay, well, since the temple was destroyed, they didn't do this. We didn't do it anymore. The calendar was fixed by a man called Hillel, not Hillel Azakin, not Hillel the elder, a great rabbi called Hillel. He fixed the calendar for all time. So that's been almost 2,000 years when we've been going according to this calendar. But the point of the Jewish calendar depending on the moon, that principle, even though in actuality it's not functioning anymore, but the idea that the Jewish people depend on the moon is an essential ingredient in Judaism. In fact, that's the first commandment that the Jewish people were given as the Jewish people. When they were still in Egypt, God said, this month is going to be lachem to you. You're going to decide the month. That's the first commandment they got. You decide the months. You decide the months. The months, they have to coincide with the sun, so that the Passover always comes in the spring. So it was like the Arabs, their calendar is only on the moon, only depends on the moon. So each month starts off with the moon, just like ours, but sometimes the month of Ramadan, for instance, can be in the middle of the summer, can be in the middle of the winter. It's not synchronized, but by Judaism, the month of Nisan always has to be in the spring, always has to be. So there's an adjustment. Once in every 3 years, they make an extra month. Okay, but mainly the moon. What's the thing about the moon? The moon gets smaller and the moon gets bigger. The moon, there's more light and there's less light. When there's less light, that's a sign that the Jewish people are not shining. That's like an exile. When there's more light, it says that it's a sign the Jewish people are shining. Ideally, it says when God created the world, the moon and the sun had the same degree of light. In fact, they had more light than they have right now, both of them. Both light. So it says, ideally, it's the same thing with the Jewish people. The Jewish people now were cast down. What the United Nations can make, decisions. The Jews are not good. That Israel doesn't belong to Jews. The world can make fun of us. The world can make fun of us. And the world, by means of doing that, the world also destroys itself, right? They ignore all the travesties and things like that happening in the world. And they're just concentrated to find something bad on the Jewish people. Got to find something bad. All of their energy and all of this is directed to that. But that's because the moon is empty. When the moon is full, then even the nighttime is illuminated. And people realize that there's a God, and God loves them, and God is creating everyone from love. And people won't be so uptight. They won't have to be looking for a scapegoat or a target or somebody to bully all the time. Okay, so that's the idea of sanctifying the moon. We don't have the Sanhedrin anymore. We don't have the Great Court, but we do have this symbolic custom of sanctifying the moon every month. There's different customs of what they do it, but when to do it, etc. But the main thing is you go outside, you look at the moon, and you make a blessing. I'm asking, and it's written in your siddur. You'll see what it is. Okay, that's the idea of the moon. How is this relevant to us? This and much more we will discuss tomorrow. Let us know. 1 second. Now we'll do the Yom Yom.